Hello, gorgeous. So let's talk about the healthy boundary checklist. I've taken you through so you can feel accountability for where you give away your time, you give away your energy, and it's absolutely no judgment, as I say, all the way through this. It's really important before we start speaking to others and putting those boundaries in place that we understand our part in it. So there's not this huge blame game going on. So the healthy boundary checklist is for you when somebody says, have you got 5 minutes? And let's be honest, it never is 5 minutes. So it's been designed in such a way that instead of jumping in and saying yes as soon as somebody says, do you have 5 minutes, which is very easy to do, you can mentally go through this in your head, or you can say, I'll get back to you when I have some space and time. So you're already putting that boundary in rather than jumping in. Now, the healthy boundary checklist for empaths is a very beautiful way to start ascertaining how you wish to live. And it may sound a little bit dramatic. It's really not. We're starting with baby steps. The whole idea of the Caris method is these are introduction steps. So you can start programming them in, you can start working with them, and you can start creating those healthy boundaries, because as we create those healthy boundaries, we create space for ourselves, we create space for our creativity, we create space for our growth. If we are constantly helping others before ourselves to our detriment, then we're not growing. We're stuck in an experience without moving on from it. Okay, and I say this with love, compassion, understanding, because I've absolutely been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, and I still have to check in on myself, which is why I still use all these tools. So you're going to ask yourself some questions. So if somebody says to you, have you just got 5 minutes? The first question you're going to ask yourself is this an emergency? And if the answer is yes, of course. If it's an emergency, somebody's not necessarily going to say, have you got 5 minutes? It's an emergency. So you're going to be there. You're going to do and be all you can to help in that situation. Of course, that goes without saying. I'm talking about other situations. So if that's an emergency, yes, you know what to do. You know how to be. If that's an emergency, no, we move on to the next one. And the next question is, can they help themselves? Can they help themselves? And if the answer is yes, then this is where we very gently start a conversation of, you can absolutely do this yourself. Me helping you isn't really helping you at all. You're perfectly capable of doing this. Okay, so if that is yes, they can do this themselves, you give them the accountability and you take your time and your space back. Then next on from this is, can they do this themselves? If it is a no, then we move on to the next question. And the next question is there anyone else apart from you who can help them with this? And this is a big one as well. Is there anyone else apart from you who can help them with this? And if the answer is yes, you know where I'm going, we encourage them to seek help, assistance, advice elsewhere. Okay? If the answer is no, then we move on to the next question. Are you the only one who can help them in this situation? If the answer is yes, this is when we start really putting those boundaries in. And we say, yes, I can help you. You choose a date, you choose a time. You say, I have 5 minutes or 10 minutes. I have this space available on this date at this time to be with you, to help you here. And what I would also suggest is, at the beginning, one of the questions was, can they do this themselves? Is you can say to them, I'm going to show you how you can do this yourself. So you're giving them the accountability, the responsibility. If you're the only one that can help, it doesn't have to be forever. And if you're feeling, well, actually, they're never going to be able to do this themselves, I've always done this for them, I have another one for you. So if they are resistant to you helping them do it themselves, then what we can do, if it's taking up too much of your time when you're physically with them, we can start creating other boundaries, and you can say to them, I can be on the phone at this time. I can be on Zoom at this time. So you're not actually physically with them, and they're going to start feeling that boundary coming in, and more than likely they will start researching how to be able to do this themselves. Or they will finally say, please, can you help me and show me how to do this? Because as I mentioned before, this isn't a blame game. It's almost like educating, because all those who are used to us jumping in when they say, can you please help me? That's because we've shown up in this way. So it's having compassion and understanding for yourself, absolutely, which is why we went through those prompts before, to see and for you to feel into, where do I just jump in? Do I actually have any space for myself? And when I have space for myself, do I allow interruptions? So you're taking accountability for your part in it before going in and educating those around you. You're not just going to be there at a drop of a hat. All right? So this is really, really powerful. It sounds so simple. It is massively powerful. And you'll find that as you're placing these boundaries, people will get used to it. I'm sharing everything that has worked with me. And this is why I'm sharing this one, because this was huge for me, absolutely huge for me. I was on the end of the phone for people. There was a joke with my peers and my family, ask Aline. Because as empaths, especially as intuitive empaths, we get answers immediately. And so we can go, oh, yes, that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. Or let me do that for you, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So this healthy boundary checklist helps you understand how others are in terms of, have you just got 5 minutes? And we're not going in with bitterness, and we're not going with back off. We're going in with, this is how it is now. And if those who are used to you being there at a drop of a hat are not liking this, and you've spoken to them a few times, and this is just going a little bit further down the line, if they are hugely resistant and they start coming up with negative attitudes of you not being there for them, this is where you can then say, I'm actually taking some time for myself, and I will let you know when I'm available again. And you can really put a boundary there, a huge boundary there. And if people, and I'm not saying everybody, and I'm not saying this will happen, if there is a situation where somebody is hugely derogatory towards you, that is not okay, my lovely. It's okay, there's going to be a little bit of pushback and a little bit of it. If you feel to explain, you don't have to, and you shouldn't feel, and I'm using have to and shoulds here, that there's an obligation for you to be there for that person. And if you're feeling obliged to be there, have a look into that, my gorgeous. What is going on there? Okay? And this may be a time and a space and a moment where you say, thank you very much for being in my life to this person. I wish you all the best. And you move on. Because what's so important is reciprocity. And I'm not saying we give to receive. Absolutely not. What I'm saying is it's really important that there's an equal balance exchange. So if you have been allowing yourself to give without receiving back in some way, there's an imbalance there. And the majority of people, when you explain to them, I'm not going to be available, will be accepting this because you're accepting yourselves. There may be some people who it's time for you to move on from, because you've learned this experience now. This is what this is about. You've learned this experience now, and you're moving on. This may happen as well. And what you're doing is you're creating beautiful space for like-hearted people, like-hearted souls to come into your environment. Because as you put your boundaries up, as you say, no, I do not have just 5 minutes. No, I'm not going to drop everything when I'm in the middle of something really beautiful myself just so I can be there for you with something you're perfectly capable of doing yourself. Or no, I'm not going to drop absolutely everything to do something that you're used to me doing all the time for you. I'm focusing on myself first. You are raising your vibration, my lovely. And it's very likely that if you've got derogatory people, those vibrational matches aren't syncing and they're not going to be in your life. They may leave voluntarily. They may just leave. And that is your blessing in disguise, my gorgeous. That is when you're creating that beautiful space around you. You're saying a sacred yes to yourself by saying a sacred no. So this is where the healthy boundary checklist is huge. And it's being honest with yourself, being kind, compassionate, and honest where you have been giving your energy away. And then feeling into, well, actually, all these people that I've been helping and who are in my life and just expect me to be there, are we a vibrational match? Have they grown at all? Have we been growing together? Because of course, we're not going to not help people. This is when you've taken things to the nth degree. This is when you're just jumping in, sometimes before somebody says, can you help me please? And we went through that before. This is when people get spiteful or rude or derogatory when you say no. Okay? And this is when you can say, I really don't appreciate how you're reacting to me. I don't appreciate how you're talking to me. And if it continues, that is when, my gorgeous, it is time to say, thank you so much for being in my life. I wish you all the best. Goodbye. Okay, so as you're closing those doors, you're opening up huge, great big doors for all these beautiful people to come in. And I would really bear that in mind, because as empaths, and I spoke about this before, as empaths, we want to be liked so everybody feels happy around us, so we're feeling good energy. And it can feel a little bit sticky when we are trying to put this into place, okay? Because we can go back into our old patterns. So what I would really, really invite you to do is, as you're putting your boundaries out there, is where you would have been there for 5 minutes, is where you would have been there for half an hour, or however long with the people who are perfectly capable of doing things themselves. Make sure that time and space is filled with something beautiful, filled with something that's gorgeous for you, filled with self-care, filled with a creative project. Because it can be very, very easy when we have that space to go a little bit into the fight, flight, and freeze mode, and to go back into old patterns, because we're shifting, and our brain doesn't particularly like changes because of the limbic brain, fight, flight, freeze, survival of the fittest. And you've been surviving, my lovely, by pleasing everybody. So your brain isn't necessarily going to like this. So this is why I've taken you through with the prompt. So it's gentle baby steps. So you feel it, you understand it, you speak with yourself in a beautiful, loving and compassionate way, and you create those boundaries. All right? So as ever, if you have any questions, get in touch with me. Let me know how you're getting on and work with those boundaries, because they are magic. Okay, so much love. Ho.